Most people blow it after the second meeting.
Abide by the 3x3 principle.
When they multi-thread, you should multi-thread.
Process for nurturing deals.
Different stakeholders in the buying group are going to have different points of view on which problems are most important to solve.
A menu of trouble.
How do you pressure test your champion?
Co-create a one-page business case with your champion.
Close lost all of your ops and beginning stages that don't have a next step on the calendar.
Soft closing throughout the entire sales cycle.
Close plans.
It's important to go back to basics in your deals.
3-minute executive demo.
Executive alignment emails.
Then you find out that you lost the deal. What do you do then?
They do that because they don't set a strong agenda, and they have this big meeting with a lot of people, and instead of starting the agenda with, hey, after this, we're going to have specific meetings with IT and operations, instead they turn it over to a champion, and then it gets lost in the shuffle. That's where the number one place we see people lose deals.
SDRs when you're following up after a discovery call, or AEs when you're following up after a demo, 3x3. Your email should have 2 sections with 3 bullets each. The top section is the top 3 takeaways from that meeting. What were the points in that meeting that your prospect was, mind blown? What were the parts of the demo that were jaw-dropping for them? What were the most memorable moments? If you can keep those bullets to 1 line each, you're doing something very right. Second section is what are the mutually agreed upon next steps? Both things that you have to do, that you owe the prospect, as well as things that they owe you. Keep yourselves mutually accountable. Pull back the curtain a little bit to show them that you are working on their behalf and earn the give and take relationship that should exist with them.
They are starting to pull in their chief X officer. They're pulling in a different department to make it cross-functional. You should pull in another department and make it cross-functional. It should feel very mirrored in the way that they run their process and the way that you run their process.
Assuming you have your ICP and your personas dialed in, you're going to have a lot of conversation with folks, both inbound and outbound, many of which are going to have problems that your solution can solve for. However, whether they have the money set aside for this, the energy to go create a new project, whether they have some existing contract in place, a lot of these are outside of your control. How do you handle these do-nothings? What's the best way to nurture these people? First, making sure you have real loss reasons. A lot of companies don't have good loss codes, and therefore it's hard to do proper nurture. Secondly, think about what would you need to change, or what would have to change in the business to have a legit shot to win their business. And then third, who are the 2 to 3 contacts you're going to have to win over?
When we get out of that first call with our potential champion, we have to resist the urge to arm them to go and talk about our solution to a bunch of people who may not have agreement on the problem itself. So the way I get around that is I reduce the effort for my champion and offer to write an email that simply lays out that this will be a buying group conversation on the problem, not the solution. How do I do that? Talk about the problem that the champion has surfaced. What is it that they are trying to achieve? What makes that hard? Second, outline the overall objective for that business. What does end state look like? What does good look like? And then third, state our credibility. Basically show that we've had conversations on this problem with other executives and other businesses who are trying to achieve similar outcomes.
The earlier we can bring up trouble in a sales cycle, the better. So that might sound something like this. Nick, before we hop on the next call, would it be okay if I maybe share some reasons typically why we find prospects or prospective clients don't typically work with us or don't typically move forward? And then you list out those things. Usually they could be timing, could be an issue. This is not really a priority, even though you might like what we do, or there could be a budget issue or something like that. Do you think any of those things might be an obstacle before we decide to move forward, or what are your thoughts? Bringing that up early, I find always very helpful.
To make them earn the right of the title of being your champion, laying out what a successful evaluation looks like, and then having them show me the gaps of what some of my false assumptions might be and say, here's what it's going to look like internally for us to mirror what your successful evaluation path looks like. And how do we mutually quarterback this together internally and externally to make it a success?
There are 4 different sections to the business case. First is the problem statement. Second is the approach. Third is the payoff. And fourth is the investment. You want to make sure to use language that's internal to the buying team. Weave in trigger words or trigger phrases that are going to signal to an executive that you're aligned with a priority that they care about. And you want to attach it to affordable email to make it easy to travel around the buying team.
Book a next step. This gets things moving along much faster. Just literally ask them, when's a good time to reconnect? 9 times out of 10, they'll give you a vague time frame. Just throw out a time yo, does Tuesday 1 p.m. work? They're probably going to say yes. If they say yes, cool. If they say no, then bye, not interested. Thank you.
As opposed to waiting till one big scary go no-go call, constantly trying to close the deal at multiple touch points throughout the deal cycle. Hopefully this helps save you time, and ultimately when you hear no after trying to soft close someone, it allows you to uncover what's actually standing between that no and a yes, so you can expedite the process.
Close plans, sometimes mutual close plans or success plans, mutual success plans. So it basically is to lay out the 4, 5, 6 maybe in a more simple sale. It could be more complex in an enterprise sale, but what are the things that need to happen in order for a deal to get done? And the buyer may not even necessarily know those things, but you as a seller have done deals that worked, done deals that don't. I would reflect on the deals where you closed and figure out what needed to happen roughly when. But what does a project plan look like? It looks like a to-do, right? An item, a bit of a description, an owner, and a timeline. And those owners could be you, could be other people within your company that you need to rely on. The best owners are often the prospect. This is a buyer-centric sales process. What are the things that they need to do in order for deals to be successful?
There are 4 things I recommend my reps keep in mind on all of their deals. First is always set an agenda. Second is hold introductions when relevant. Third is always schedule a next call while you are on the current call. And the fourth is remembering to schedule a weekly call with your champion as you're progressing your deals forward.
We all know getting time to executives is super difficult and they don't love talking to salespeople. And so what's an easy way for you to warm up an executive before a conversation if you haven't actually talked to them before? We love using video for that. And hey, Mr. CMO, really excited to speak with you in our meeting on Wednesday. I know we personally haven't spoken yet, so I wanted to send a quick video outlining what the plan is for the call, what value we've discussed with the team, and how that product actually works, and how our solution is going to align to your key initiative of reducing inbound touches of pipeline by 50%.
Create a template for your manager, something to basically send to prospect stakeholders, someone that we know is going to be a part of the decision-making process, but isn't in the conversation today. And that note can simply just mention how excited they are to be engaging with that company. It's going to build an additional line of communication, which can be crucial later on. Later down the road, if things start getting really sticky, you can ask them, hey, what's going on? I noticed that we haven't really been getting a response as of late, and get their perspective.
Send a thank you note when you lose the deal. Playing the long game here. This is an amazing way to demonstrate character and to demonstrate that you're a good sport. Whoever that client picks, sometimes things don't work out and then they're back to the drawing board. Guess who they're going to call first? The person that had the class and sophistication to send a handwritten thank you note when they lost the deal.